Drew McIntyre shows us yet again why the old man in Stamford, Connecticut needs to put Roman Reigns on the shelf, or at least deep into the mid-card upon his return, and start pushing Drew McIntyre as the guy, because it is clear as day Drew McIntyre is the real big dog in that company. Oh, we're gonna talk about it. Apollo's Money in the Bank opportunity that he just earned last week is already over. That's right, Apollo taking out of Money in the Bank officially, and we're gonna talk about it. My boy, the modern-day Maharaja, has returned. Is he on a collision course with his former 3MB teammate? Oh, we're gonna talk about it. Nia Jax! That's right, cue her music. She injures most girls. Nia Jax destroys Shayna Baszler and Asuka in less than 2 minutes. I'm sorry, what? Oh, we're gonna talk about it. And the Street Profits finally tone it down, as for at least one night, Vincent Kennedy McMahon put his stereotype for a black person on the shelf and let them come off as serious threats and actual wrestlers. Oh, we're gonna talk about it. They said it's Monday Night Raw. BC, you gotta talk about it. I said, I don't know if you guys want that type of amplification. They said, you gotta, BC. There's nobody else in the community like you. So I said, all right, if that's what you want, it's better to burn out than fade away. Let's get amplified. For April 27, 2020, our number one kicks off with the VIP Lounge. Host MVP with guests Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Apollo. Of course, these three gentlemen are the Raw representatives for this year's men's Money in the Bank ladder match, May 10th. Zelina Vega, Andrade, Garza, and Theory come to the ring, and Zelina tells Mysterio, Black, and Apollo to do what's right for Raw and relinquish their Money in the Bank spots and hand them over to Zelina's stable. Mysterio says it sounds like you came out here not just for our Money in the Bank spots, but to pick a fight. Of course, Aleister Black's eyes light up when he hears Mysterio speak those words, and these 6 dudes start brawling straight into commercial. When we return, of course, we have a 6-man schmaz. Zelina's stable versus Apollo, Aleister, and Rey. This match was over 25 minutes in length and several commercial breaks to get through. And when it was all said and done, Apollo gets the victory for his team when he wins via a powerbomb over the United States champion, Andrade. Not surprised at who won this match. When you look at the 3 Raw Money in the Bank ladder match participants, Apollo is obviously the weakest link. Not that he's not good, but just because of how he's been booked the last 2 years. So Apollo winning isn't a surprise. They wanted to show us that Apollo belongs in that ladder match. Or so we thought. Later in the night, we found out that WWE's typical illogical way of thinking and booking ended up rearing its ugly head once again, because Apollo was totally taken out of the Money in the Bank match. Again, we'll get to that a little bit later in this review. But as far as this 6-man tag and Apollo winning the match, it made sense at the moment. What was a surprise for me is that they had the U.S. title holder Andrade taking the L. But then again, that shouldn't have surprised me, because Andrade, just like Apollo for the past couple of years, or since he's been on the main roster, Andrade has also been treated and booked like a clown. Even with the title, he's been booked into irrelevancy. But it wouldn't be the last we saw of Andrade and Apollo. Post-match, backstage, Apollo challenges Andrade, or at first, Andrade got into Apollo's face. Andrade had some words after he smacked the taste out of Andrade's mouth. And then Zelina Vega gets in front of Apollo's face and says, "You want a title match? Tonight, it's on." So I don't know how that would help out Andrade Zelina Vega issuing that match, but that's what we get later in the night. Andrade Apollo for the U.S. title. So I understand a little more clear after that segment why Andrade had to take the L, but I still would not have had that happen. He is a champion. It is getting tiring week after week, month after month, year after year in that company to see a champion losing nonsensical matches left and right. And when it gets to a bigger match at a pay-per-view, they lose that too. A champion doesn't look like a champion anymore in WWE. They look like chumps. And championships are certainly not titles anymore. They're participation trophies. But we set up an Apollo and Andrade U.S. title match. I was a little bit interested to see which way they would go here. They had Apollo win that match to bump up his stock going into Money in the Bank. There's no way they can have him beat Andrade though, correct? Oh, just wait until we get to that match, guys. Wait and see what WWE actually had planned in that match. That was the better part, most of, if not all of, hour number one. Hour number two kicked off with what was supposed to be a triple threat match. Asuka versus Shayna Baszler versus Nia Jax. But there was never a true match. Just Nia Jax. By the way, where are my manners? Cue Nia Jax's music, please. She injures most girls! That's right, there's Nia Jax's theme music. She does injure most girls, doesn't she? She ends up taking out Asuka and Shayna Baszler literally within 2 minutes. She made Asuka and Shayna Baszler look like absolute dipshits with their thumbs up their asses in just 2 minutes. Baszler and Asuka were flat on their backs on the outside, while the least athletic of the three, Nia Jax, plays the dominant powerhouse. She didn't even break a sweat, which fits her lazy wrestling style and type perfectly, by the way. Just ridiculous. I don't know if Nia Jax has ever broken a sweat in the ring or at any point in her life. I see laziness when she is in that ring, and that's not even shade. It's what I see. Like what she did with Kyrie last week. She couldn't even take one extra step to buckle bomb Kyrie properly in the correct way. No. One extra step means extra movement, which means I have to do work. I'll chuck her from the middle of the ring. So how does she get rewarded for nearly, or maybe she did, we don't even know the condition of Kairi Sane yet. But how does she get rewarded? Well, let's make her dominate Asuka and Baszler in less than 2 minutes. Let's make Asuka and Baszler look like absolute jokes. Baszler and Asuka, two of the toughest females in that entire company in the sport of pro wrestling. And Nia Jax, the Wild Rock's cousin Samoan, standing tall while Asuka and Shayna Baszler are moaning in agony on the outside. Guys, if you're a true pro wrestling fan, if you truly know the ins and outs of these characters, of these individuals, like Asuka, like Baszler, and yes, even like Nia Jax, if you are actually a true diehard fan like that and you know the ins and outs of the business, the characters, and the individuals, if you're okay with that type of booking, man, BC, what do you expect them to do with Nia, man? She's a big gal. That's going to be her monster. That's her gimmick, right, BC? Well, first of all, I wouldn't have ruined her then in the first couple of years when she was in WWE. That's A. B, more importantly than that, from the beginning when I saw that she couldn't wrestle, I probably would have taken her off the road before she injures somebody. Oh, wait, she's already injured 10 females and 3 dudes. Now we're just playing a game of who's next. So that's what I would have done if you're asking me how to book Nia Jax. First of all, I wouldn't be booking Nia Jax. She'd be off the road. Number 2, if I seriously wanted to portray her, book her as a true monster, it would have been from day one. Now all of a sudden she shows up and she's taking out Asuka and Baszler in 2 fucking minutes? When she's already been exposed, dude. She's already exposed to be a lazy, careless, reckless, bad wrestler. These are just truths. This isn't just a person's opinion or somebody throwing shade. These are truths based on facts. There's actual statistical data that backs up everything I'm saying. It's okay to be bad at something. Nia Jax is just bad at wrestling. It's okay. Realize it and fix it. I know I would be bad at ice hockey. I love the physicality of it, but I know I would suck at ice skating. I know this because back in middle school, while trying to impress this one girl, I attempted to rollerblade. Time after time. And time after time, I fell on my ass, embarrassing myself. I knew I had no future with my feet on wheels of any sort. And don't worry, by the way, I still ended up getting the girl because, obviously, I'm hot as fuck with a great personality and charisma that would drop Roman Reigns where he stands time after time. Charisma that only Roman Reigns could wish upon a star that he had. So I still got the female. But trust me, my rollerblading did not do me any favors. It's okay to be bad at something. Oh, if you really, really want it. If you really, really don't want to take no for an answer. That's great. Train more. Work out more. Better yourself more and more. Start seeing results. Start seeing improvements. If there is one individual in this world that tells me Nia Jax is improving, be real with yourself because you are fooling no one else but yourself. And don't BC, she just came back me. Oh no. Trust me, she's been cleared for a while, and when you get cleared, it's because you're ready to rock and roll. Don't give me any ring rust. Have you seen her performances before she got injured this last time? Yeah, she wasn't giving you athletic 5-star bouts, okay? Her style is pretty cut and dry. We're seeing the same shit now that we saw before. Maybe, from what we've already seen since she's been back, even more reckless. This is about to turn into another 25-minute Nia Jax rant. And I don't want that to happen because I already made a vid about that last week. We have to now move on. Let's cut her music one more time, just to show that there's no hard feelings to Nia. She injures mouse, girls! It's Nia Jax, everybody. Taking out Asuka and Shayna Baszler in 2 minutes. That's right, she's The Rock's cousin, the wild Samoan, the greatest athlete in the world, Nia Jax. She injures mouse, girls! Bobby Lashley wins a squash match over Denzel Dejournay. Nothing really newsworthy here other than Lashley telling Lana to stay in the back because according to Lashley, she's too beautiful to be at ringside. That's a clever way, actually, to say I don't want you out there. You know what I mean? That's pretty fucking clever. You gotta use that, guys, when you go into the bar or the club and you got your old lady that wants to come with you. Be like, honey, you're way too beautiful to come to the club tonight, man. Like, we're just gonna have a few drinks with the boys. You're too fucking beautiful. I don't wanna make other dudes fucking start drooling and feeling sorry about their lives. You stay home, and I guess I'll brave it with all these other floozies. You get to go out, have fucking fun with all the right? Let's start seeing if this works, gentlemen. You're too beautiful. You stay at home tonight. So Lana has to stay in the back. And again, Lashley wins this squash match over Dejournay. So it's clear to me they have nothing for Lashley because they just don't know what to do with him. But it's not just Lashley. I can go down the roster and probably pick 90 out of 100 dudes that they just don't know what to do with. And you can even leak that philosophy into the female locker room as well. So Bobby Lashley continues to win these weird matches, and when it counts, Lashley continues to lose the matches that count. They don't know what to do with Lashley, and if you tell me you're bringing in Lashley, you know, have a plan for some dude like this. Here it is 2 years later, and he's no better off now than when he was when he came back to WWE. Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott is next. This is literally a rematch from just last week when Morgan defeated Riott in roughly 5 minutes. Listen, I don't mind seeing these two. Last week, even though they only had 5 minutes, I actually enjoyed that, and I thought that was one of Liv Morgan's, if not Liv Morgan's, best main roster match. She was just on fire. I mean, her confidence, everything she was doing, it was just on point, man. I've never seen Liv Morgan look that damn good. And I told you guys from the beginning that there's more to her than just a pretty face. But last week she really brought it, so I don't mind seeing these two. But am I wrong to just ask why? Like, Morgan won fair and square last week. Why even bother competing if a win don't mean shit anyway? Or if you have to beat someone 12 times for it to actually count or mean anything? Just nonsensical. If you just beat somebody the week before, why do I have to beat them again? And we're starting to see it time and time again with champions too. A champion will beat a challenger at a pay-per-view, and the very next night on Raw, there'll be a rematch for the championship. Same two individuals. If you're the champion, how are you not looking at it like, I just beat him or her? Why are they not going to be the beginning of the line? Why do they get another title match? These rematches just don't make sense because there's no explanation behind them. Somebody just won the week before, so now they have to prove themselves again? And again, if there's like a disqualification or a count-out, I totally get it. But this was fair and square with Liv Morgan last week, and we see this time and time again with the company. There's no explanation. Another proven point that WWE just doesn't care, or they forgot how to care. They've rested on their laurels for so long that they don't even know how to care anymore. They don't even know how to put thought into what they're doing. Did something happen during the week between Morgan and Riott, and that's why we're seeing it again? Tell us the story. The old man in Stanford used to always say WWE is about storytelling. Really? Because the past 10 years, I'm not seeing a lot of it. I'm seeing a lot of nonsensical bullshit happening for zero reason and without any explanation. Morgan and Riott, yet again. Is it just BC Amplified that wants reasoning behind something? I'm willing to suspend the disbelief and enter the reality world of pro wrestling. What they would like us to believe is the reality. I'm fine with that. I'll suspend all the actual reality in the world, and I will enter the world of pro wrestling gladly. I love it. I want to do that. All I'm asking is you meet me halfway as a company. I should be reaching this much, this often for answers. I shouldn't be the one trying to dissect what the story is. So we just see Ruby and Liv again. And when I say nonsensical, this match, just like last week, was barely 5 minutes. Same as last week, and the same result. Liv Morgan defeats Ruby Riott. That's great for Liv, and just like I said last week, I don't know what it really does for Riott. You had Liv win back-to-back against Riott these last 2 weeks. Don't let these victories for Liv, and don't let Ruby Riott's jobbing out the last 2 weeks be for nothing. Do something with Liv Morgan, please. As far as Riott, losing like she did the last 2 weeks, wow, that just sucks, bro. She's better than that. She truly is. But the same way I can tell you that I don't think McMahon has any clue what to do with Riott, the truth is, even with back-to-back wins for Morgan over Riott, the old man doesn't know what to do with Liv Morgan either. Trust me, don't kid yourself. They have no fucking idea. Don't let this go to waste with Liv Morgan. And as far as Ruby Riott goes, okay, she did 2 back-to-back jobs for Liv Morgan. Now, think of something important and meaningful for Riott going forward, please. Because Ruby Riott, again, is better than what we've been seeing upon her return. Next up, Jinder Mahal returns to WWE Raw from injury. Finally, the modern-day Maharaja, the former champ. He's back and he destroys Tozawa and ends it with the Colossus. Look, I like Jinder. I'm a fan of Mahal. You guys know that. Mahal is one of those dudes you either get behind or just can't stand. There's no gray area with this dude. I've had many conversations in real life with Jinder, so I know much more about the dude than what most of the WWE audience knows. I know how great of a guy he is, literally a heart of gold, and will give you the shirt off his back. I know how hard he has worked to make the comeback he made 2 years ago, so I guess it comes down to pure, sheer respect for the dude. I take a lot of heat for standing behind Mahal, and that's totally fine. So be it. I surround myself with good people, or that's what I choose to do. Mahal is good people. And for absolute dumb fucks that claim he sucks, I've seen a lot of wrestlers over the 30 years that I've been watching pro wrestling, too many actually, that truly sucked at pro wrestling. Jinder Mahal, I assure you, is not one of them. Far from it, actually. But you can't fix stupid, and people will believe what they want to, no matter how absurd. So if you want to believe that Jinder Mahal actually sucks at pro wrestling, believe what you want to believe, dude. But if you've been watching for decades like I have, you know when a wrestler truly sucks. You may not like somebody. You may think they're boring. You may think a lot of things. But to say they absolutely, actually suck, bro, statistically, you better back that shit up. Jinder Mahal, to say he's worse than what, Sergeant Slaughter? Have you ever watched Sergeant Slaughter wrestle? Right? I mean that's a big name in pro wrestling. Sergeant Slaughter, right? We remember, us older fans, WrestleMania 7 and leading up to that, and even the Royal Rumble of 91 and how big Sergeant Slaughter was. But when you talk about wrestling, how are you saying Sergeant Slaughter was better than Jinder Mahal? I mean, you actually, that's what I mean when I say that I dissect not just the wrestling or the event or the show or a character. I dissect the wrestling of the wrestler. Every wrestler in that company. It's okay if you don't like Jinder Mahal, but this Jinder Mahal sucks at wrestling. Stop. Because then when we actually talk about someone who sucks at wrestling, like Nia Jax, who literally can't wrestle, when we go around and say that everyone we don't like just sucks, what happens, guys, is it's the boy that cried wolf story. People are not going to believe you anymore. So I don't have to defend Jinder Mahal anymore. I understand people just don't like this dude, or they think his matches are boring, what have you. That's cool, man. You got your opinion. Hold that shit tightly. Cling on to it. Spew it on social media. Whatever you gotta do. But just be real with yourself too, man. And don't think for 1 second that on this channel we're gonna trash Jinder Mahal. Because again, I know the dude behind the character. I know the work that went into it. I've seen the improvements in his wrestling over the years. I stand behind Jinder Mahal, and I'm glad he came back. And I gotta tell you, to just think about where 3MB was years ago. The jobbers of jobbers. And now look at McIntyre. And I wouldn't mind seeing McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. It doesn't have to be a multi-month feud. I understand. PC. No, not the summer of Mahal and McIntyre. That's cool, man. Just because I like someone doesn't mean they should be, main eventing 3 months in a row. But I would not mind seeing Drew McIntyre, one pay-per-view or one big Monday Night Raw, something, McIntyre and Mahal. Just because of the journey that they've had together and separately. And it's just like coming full circle. I just think that would be so fucking awesome, man. Again, we don't have to drag it out over the summer. But one match between these two that's actually meaningful. Man, it's funny where life takes you. If you would have told these dudes years ago that, Mahal would have had a championship reign and Drew McIntyre would be champion now, when you look at where they were with Heath Slater. I gotta tell you, man. And that's another shame. Heath Slater, I'm a fan of. I was a fan of all 3MB. I just was, guys. I know they were the biggest jobbers, or some of the biggest jobbers. Maybe not up there with Brooklyn Brawler, but damn close in WWE history. But I was always a fan of Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, and Jinder Mahal. I always liked 3MB. I always saw potential there with all three of them. And it sucks and it's sad to see what happened to Heath Slater, obviously. Anyway, moving on. So did I even go over that? Yeah, Tozawa was made light work with the Colossus, and Jinder Mahal takes the victory. So I know a lot of people are probably sour this morning, right? Jinder Mahal, no man, not Jinder. There's worse things in life than Jinder Mahal, I assure you. Relax, it's gonna be okay. You still have to put up with Nia Jax, okay? Like I said, there's worse things in life. We end hour number 1 and begin hour number 2 with a U.S. title match, as aforementioned. Andrade defending against challenger Apollo. This was a good match. Apollo gave everything he had, but a late knee injury, storyline-wise, cemented his loss, and Andrade retains the title. As much as I'm down for an Apollo push, not at the expense of Andrade, so this was the right call. But WWE had other plans in mind anyway. They were taking Apollo out of the Money in the Bank match, the ladder match, and this was the way they did it. And it just befuddles me. Why even have Apollo defeat your champion on Raw last night in the 6-man tag just to have him lose an hour later? Just have the knee injury happen in the 6-man tag. So what are you going to try to tell me? No, BC, because they're trying to pump, even though they're taking out Apollo for the Money in the Bank ladder match, BC, they still want to make him a legit threat. They're trying to build him up and push him, BC. That's why he won the 6-man tag. Okay, what do I always tell you guys? Don't build someone up by tearing someone else down. You want to get, now all of a sudden after 2 years, you want to push Apollo by having him defeat your champion last night. I don't care about the revenge Andrade got later in the night. Andrade, the champion, got pinned in the 6-man tag. And by the way, Andrade didn't even get revenge later in the night. The knee injury is what stopped the match. These are the things that befuddle me. So this knee injury, afterwards, it was confirmed by WWE that Apollo is no longer in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So who replaces him remains to be seen for Raw. I would have loved to seen AJ Styles in that. It looks to be too late, and it looks like they're going to keep him off of TV until after Money in the Bank to really sell the fact that he got buried alive in the Undertaker Boneyard match at WrestleMania. So you take AJ Styles out of the equation. Who really replaces him? What do you guys think? Let me know down below. There is several opportunities for individuals to step up. It's just who is the old man in Stamford going to give that opportunity to? Apollo, man, he had that opportunity sitting in his lap for 1 week, and it already got ripped away from him, man. If I'm Apollo, I'd be pissed. Then again, if I'm Apollo, the last couple of weeks have been the greatest of his main roster career. He's been out of fucking catering, and he's been fucking actually wrestling. He's been in something meaningful. So I guess beggars can't be choosers. I mean, this is the most exposure Apollo has had in a long time. It just, I don't know what this company is thinking. Apollo is in Money in the Bank, making people scratch their fucking heads. Then a week later, they're taking him out, making people scratch their fucking heads. Is this just WWE trying to swerve everyone and being creative, or is this just WWE literally not knowing what the fuck they're doing? I'm choosing option B. We then get a backstage interview with the Street Profits. That's right, I am not calling them the Street Bums this week. Why? Because I'm going to call them the Street Profits because they acted like actual wrestlers last night. Legit threats. People that I can take serious. People that didn't annoy the hell out of me last night. The Street Profits, they answered a challenge from earlier in the night by the Viking Raiders. And the Profits were much more serious in this segment. Their words, much more impactful. I like this. I cannot stand the black man always playing the role of circus clown. It's a vicious cycle. That's all McMahon sees his black wrestlers as. And so in turn, they feel they have to curve their character to a glorified, crazed cheerleader. Because if not, Vince will make them such anyway. I've had enough of it. I've seen it too many times before, with Men on a Mission, with the primetime players, with Crime Time, with the New Day, and so many others, and now the Street Profits. Enough! You don't have to bounce around like you're hopped up on meds. You don't have to dance around like you're some gigolo or male stripper. You don't have to scream out slang so you sound black enough. Fuck the stereotypes. Just stop. Serious Street Profits were the best Street Profits I've seen yet. Even though this was only like a 90-second backstage promo segment with the Street Profits, man. The fact that they didn't annoy me. The fact that they didn't feel they had to portray some whacked out crazed lunatics. That side of the Street Profits that I saw last night. And it's up to the Street Profits going forward to continue to show different layers to their characters. Because I assure you, the old man in Stamford, Connecticut loves to bulk his minorities into stereotypes. We've seen it too many times for too many years. He will harp. He will cement on those stereotypes. And it's up to people like the Street Profits to rise above those stereotypes. Don't let the old man be victorious, because he gets an idea in his head when he sees a certain individual, and wham, that's it. That's your career. We've seen certain individuals break away from those stereotypes over the years, but if you noticed, it was that individual that stood up to that stereotype and broke out on his own. If it's up to McMahon, he will keep you in those roles. But we need to see more out of it. I cannot go years of the Street Profits that we've been seeing for the past several weeks and months. Just yelling at the top of their lungs, non-stop. Nobody getting a breath of fucking air. Nobody letting anyone else speak. Annoying to the highest degree. Bouncing and dancing around like circus freaks. I don't want to see that for another fucking week. There's a time to be energetic. Trust me, I grew up in an era with Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior and Roddy Piper and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. The dudes were certainly on some extracurricular shit, if you know what I mean. I love energy. Shit, this is called the BC Amplified channel. I'm full of energy. But bro, there's a time, a point where it just reaches too much. I need to see that layer of the Street Profits. I don't care if McMahon allows it or not. Because I know McMahon brought them out there the last several weeks on commentary because there's nobody in the crowd. So he said, okay, who's better to be in and make asses of themselves? Let's throw out the Street Profits. So they would go on commentary, and I know McMahon was probably in their ears saying, louder, say more, don't stop. So they had to be that annoying. They had to take annoying to another level. Can't even blame just the Street Profits. McMahon, that's what he sees. That's why they were out there. They're a minority. They must be circus freaks to McMahon. So he brings them out there for commentary just to yell a lot. No different with Asuka. Why do you think Asuka was at the commentary table several weeks the past couple months? Since they've been at the Performance Center with no crowd, and Asuka's out there because she's loud and obnoxious. It's exactly what Vince wants. He gets a kick out of that. I honestly believe that minorities are Vince McMahon's entertainment. It's frustrating to see, man. I know I'm the only one to talk about this subject. It's too touchy for a lot of people. I understand, but I see what's going on, man. I've seen what's been going on for years now. And I don't get more and more used to it. I get more and more frustrated, and you should be too. We end the night in the main event slot with a Money in the Bank contract signing between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Drew tells Jerry Lawler he should take off now while he still has a chance, and Lawler takes Drew's advice and hightails it, leaving just Drew and Seth at the table, and they both gave awesome promos last night. Seth always takes criticism for being bland and boring, but let's give credit where it's owed, guys. He's always delivering on all bullet points and never stutters or loses confidence in the words he's delivering. So I give Seth Rollins credit all the time on his promos. Last night was no different. And that's something that certainly cannot be said about 85% of that locker room when it comes to promos, guys. They don't have that believability in it because they don't have the confidence in the words that they're speaking. At least Rollins does. On the flip side, Drew McIntyre has been on fire promo-wise since he's returned to WWE/NXT. Another reason I call McIntyre the total package when it comes to a WWE superstar. Once the contract is signed by both parties, the inevitable brawl followed before Buddy Murphy hit the ring in aid of Rollins. But McIntyre claymores Murphy, and it's back to just Drew and Seth until Rollins realizes this and runs far away from McIntyre. And we end the show with McIntyre middle of the ring, staring down at Rollins top of the ramp. Listen, I reiterate, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If I'm building a professional wrestling promotion, I revolve it around Drew McIntyre. I truly would. I mean, guys like Bray Wyatt and ladies like Sasha Banks as well. But Drew McIntyre would be like the guy. He would be the top face, at least today. End of April 2020, I don't see any better face-wise in WWE who's a legit total package. They've tried for years to push Roman Reigns, and it has failed miserably time and time again. Drew McIntyre has been sitting in their fucking pocket the entire time, or at least the last couple years. Time and time again, they try to push Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre is right fucking there. The total package. More muscular than Roman Reigns. Taller than Roman Reigns. A better look than Roman Reigns. Can cut much, much better promos than Roman Reigns. Much more believable than Roman Reigns. A better wrestler than Roman Reigns. This isn't shade. These are just facts. What is the obsession with Roman Reigns that Vince McMahon has? That's what I'm asking. If after all these years his reaction has not changed at all, what do you have to lose to just make Drew the guy? Just because he's not The Rock's cousin? Just because he doesn't have Samoan heritage? What is it? I don't understand. This is Drew's time, all right? Roman took his ball and he went home. Justified for what's going on in the world and his compromised immune system or health issues. That's the right call. Fine. Take your ball, you go home. You made the right call. Protect your family. I think he's got another set of twins on the way too. Congrats to Joanna Y. But now's the time more than ever to start not just pushing Drew McIntyre with a title victory, but to actually make him the guy of WWE. Here's my question. Why not? Why not make Drew the guy? What else are you going to do with Roman? We're not going to jump on board with this dude until there's an absolute massive overhaul in character with Roman Reigns. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get the other 50% at least of the fan base that was never on board with Roman. You're not going to get us, ever. I saw it again with Drew. I see it all the time with this guy. And in that segment, I just saw not just glimpses. I saw a whole segment of a superstar. That's what Drew McIntyre is. And Seth Rollins playing the heel perfectly. I'm not saying that this feud can't be something. My gripe with this is just the fact that WWE doesn't think long-term anymore. And because of that, we've already seen Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins in the ring 100 times before. Tag team matches, 6-man tags, a bunch of times one-on-one. That's what dilutes it for me. But I knew if given a circumstance in a situation like we're in right now, this could be something. So even though we've seen them 100 million fucking times, if they do it correctly, I'm still interested in this. They just have to continue to do it correctly. I like what I saw last night for sure. And again, that ended the show, that contract signing. And Drew McIntyre took out Buddy Murphy, who tried to help Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ended up running away, playing the legit heel. I have two questions as well before I end this review. Number one, during these times, why the hell is Seth Rollins wearing only one glove? Use your other glove, man. It's not just about social distance. And number two, my question is, weren't they promoting Triple H? Like USA Network was promoting Triple H the entire day on their social media. This is what was sent to me anyway. And then dirt sheets were actually saying that Triple H was confirmed for the show. Everybody was wrong. All they did was play like Triple H video packages and highlights of Triple H's career. There was no Triple H at all. We already celebrated this dude's 25th anniversary Friday. It's not that big of a deal, dude. He's been there 25 years. Okay. The fuck? You took up literally, if you put all those video packages together, there was probably 10 to 15 minutes of Triple H talk. Dude didn't even show up. We really have to celebrate 2 separate nights? Triple H being there for 25 years? That's when you know times are rough, man, and they're really trying to scratch for anything to try to get some ratings. But Friday night's ratings, Triple H's first night of celebration, they didn't bring in any good rating. So I don't know what they were trying to prove with this one. I mean, we love Triple H, but ain't nobody trying to celebrate this dude 2 fucking nights in a row, or at least bring him out and do something much more meaningful than what we saw Friday. No, they didn't even bring out Triple H. The dirt sheets couldn't have been more wrong, and USA Network pumped up something that never was delivered. Anyway, these are my gripes. Kept you guys here for too long, maybe, or maybe not long enough. Maybe you guys want another hour of amplification, but there's things to be done, damn it. And I have to prioritize just what the hell that is. I have to see what I have to do first. But either way, things need to be done. So, much love to all you guys. That was your Raw review. I'll catch up with you guys later in the week. Make sure you're checking up on the channel. You should be notified anyway. The Amplified, man. We think, we be, we live amplified 24/7. You know the deal. For now, check you later. She enters Mouse, girls.